Splash! You've just entered the deep end. Yes, this is part 3 of our Evangelion discussion. Part 1 was last Sunday, well actually 2 Sundays ago, where we did the main series. Last Sunday, a few days ago, was part 2, discussing Evangelion and some of the supplemental material. And on today's Deep End, we'll be diving deeper into what exactly is Eva.
I think I might need water wings for this one.
Yes. And we were just discussing how our mutual friend Tristan described the final 2 episodes as a PowerPoint presentation.
It kind of does, though. He had literally told me that quote a few years ago when he mentioned Eva to me, and I hadn't seen it, and I forgot about it until he brought it up to me earlier today. He goes, the series is great. Like, the animation is amazing until he turns into a PowerPoint presentation by the last 2 episodes.
Did he ever see End of Eva?
Yes, he did.
Okay, what did he
think? Because he did ask me if I understood what was going on in the last episode, and I said, I told him the truth. I go, yeah, more or less. The thing is, you don't really know what's going on in reality. I kind of pegged exactly what it was, up until the point where it's like, some of this is from reality and flashes of what's going on, and some of it just isn't. Like, the rest of it's all just in Shinji's mind.
Yeah.
I knew what was going on to a degree. I knew that whatever plan had been put in place either by Seal or by Seele, whatever. By Seele or by Gendo had been put through, and it was happening, whatever it was. But I wasn't sure 100% what that was. I just knew that it was all happening in Shinji's head.
And just getting to the ending before we get into it, what do you think? And I looked it up, and this is never outright stated in the anime, more in the supplemental material. What is Gendo's end goal? Why is he trying to initiate his own third impact?
Wasn't the whole point for him to see,
Yui again?
To see Yui again.
More so than that, he wants to become God, because he's angry at God for taking Yui away from him.
I mean, it was, like, from what we saw in the flashback, wasn't either Yui's own decision to get into the Eva, or Gendo being, like, wanting her to get in to do it. Because wasn't the whole Eva series Yui's idea to begin with?
I believe it was.
So then, God didn't take her away so much as she put herself in that position.
And Sele's goal. Why does Sele want to create third impact? Again, not specified in the series.
Not what?
Sele's end goal, not specified in the series.
Not in the anime, but isn't there like a line or two that's in the movie where they mention like they think this is humanity's next step to evolution?
Yes and no. From what I found in the game, Girlfriend of Steel 2, their end goal is... No, wait, it's actually Neon Genesis Evangelion 2. Not the Girlfriend of Steel spinoff. Their end goal was just for instrumentality to happen to them so that they could be absorbed into the Eva, become God, while the rest of humanity died off.
Okay. Yeah, that's not very clear. The way they put it, at least from the movie's standpoint, was like...
For all of humanity to evolve.
Yeah, like their thought process was humanity has hit, like, the peak of its evolution. We can't evolve any further unless we force it to happen.
And then again, this is all supplemental material, so some things may contradict what other things say.
Take it with a grain of salt, basically.
But as long as it's more or less main franchise and not fan works, you can take it with like more like a spoon of salt than a grain.
Just try not to be too salty.
Yes. Yes.
Like I am when we discuss Cashin.
You will bring that up for a few weeks, won't you?
Probably. Because I was forced to sit down and watch it and hate my life for an entire day and a half.
Yes, that was not a good anime. And once again, if you liked it, I apologize. But
look, if they could enjoy it, I'm impressed, because I sure fucking can't.
Yes.
Like, I find next to nothing redeemable about Cashin, other than, like, 1 or 2 episodes where Cashin is of, like, no importance.
Yeah. Go back and watch the Cashin Sins episode we did if you want to hate us or something.
I honestly don't care if they hate me. I can't stand the series. I can't. But if we keep going, this is just going to turn into me bitching about it again.
Okay, but things that you like. What was your favorite angel?
Oh man, that's a good question. I liked, it's gonna have to be the one that's the wings, the one that mind raped, Asuka. Mm-hmm. I like that design. It looked really cool.
Which one did I like? Well, to go with meme, Remy-chan is best angel. Like the tetrahedron looking thing. I choose the fourth option. Remy-chan is the best character in Eva.
Actually, you know what? Are we going to include, like, Lilith in this, or no?
Good question.
Because if we are, I'll choose Lilith, because I really like how that ends, like... Basically, I like how it turns out with the movie. Lilith, I like how that ends up going.
Like the merging of Lilith and Rei, or...
Yes, when Lilith is fully active again.
Although...
I'll go with that, if that's an option. If not, then it's still the wings.
Although, I'm pretty sure in Rebuild, she's slightly redesigned.
Slightly in what way?
I haven't seen Rebuild in a while, but let me just pull it up here. Because I think the mask, the mask is more like the Third Angel's mask.
Is that it? Just the mask? Because we honestly don't know whether that's physically part of her face or not.
She also seems to be a little bit more torn off at the bottom than clean cut as it was.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember seeing that mentioned at one point in some of the online forums I looked at.
And that seems to be the only change.
Because something happened, I forget what it was, but like some point in the series her legs get torn off.
Yes.
Which doesn't happen in the original. So that's really the only real difference.
I know the Nerve logo got redesigned for Rebuild.
Interesting, because I kind of like the way the Nerve logo looked. I know that Sele had that really... Well, that's the thing, right? And this is probably a good thing to bring up in general, is like, that seal that's on the mask that... what am I looking for here? The mask that Lilith wears, like before she's activated. Whether or not that's a mask is a very good question, because I don't know. It could, like, be part of her body. Like a bone plate or something. Mm-hmm. Or it could be something put there. The thing is, Sele uses that logo that's on the mask as their own logo, with, like, the 7 eyes and the upside-down triangle.
And there is a reason for the 7 eyes, and,
I know there's a reason for that, like, when, Eva Unit 1 and the manufactured Evas have, like, those circles and stuff around them. I know that has a meaning to it, which is, like, the tree of life and shit.
Yeah,
from Judaistic, the texts, holy texts.
Mm-hmm. And I think it may be in Jewish background.
I feel like a lot of it's pulled from Judaism. There's some, Christianity and stuff, and Catholicism mixed in, but a lot of it seems to be from Judaistic texts more than anything else.
Because I think in old Jewish stories, God has 7 eyes, and if you take the main 3 Eva units, they have 7 eyes combined. So are the Evangelions God?
Well, they're born from Adam, and Adam is I was going to say Adam's supposed to be the first human, but he's not in this.
No.
Technically, Lilith is.
Mm-hmm. And diving...
So yeah, I don't know.
And diving into supplemental material here, and I don't know what you will think of this, but Adam and Lilith were actually brought here by aliens.
Great, it's Igarashi all over again. The aliens did it. The aliens.
I think there was a geofront under Antarctica that was...
They did mention, and I don't think this was ever explained in the anime, but that the geofront that Nerve is in was created before they ever showed up.
That was actually the Black Moon.
They were in it?
That's what I hear, that the Black Moon, and there is also a White Moon. And the White Moon was the seed of Adam, while the Black Moon was the seed of Lilith.
Huh.
And these seeds of Adam, Lilith, that is what a geofront actually is.
Huh.
So it's more like a living spaceship than anything.
Interesting. That's really interesting, because that means that, like, whatever material that would be made out of would be something you'd think that humanity would want to harvest. Or, like, try to use and synthesize. Rather than just use it as a big shell base.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if there's an outer wall to that, which I assume there would be, they would probably, again, want to use it as a resource.
Where are they brought up? They were going to be part of it according to Evangelion proposal, which was written 2 years before the series aired. They are also the authors of the Dead Sea Scrolls, so...
Wait, who?
The first ancestral race, who was not really brought up in series.
At all. Like, they are completely missing. Are they in the manga at all?
No.
Not even in that. Okay.
No.
I do remember hearing that term thrown around, though, first ancestral race. I just didn't remember where it was.
I think they may have mentioned it maybe once in passing.
It wasn't in the manga. I saw it on, like, one of the, episode discussions forums I went to at one point.
Oh, okay. Because
I think I was looking up something, and they were mentioned in passing on that. Yeah, that article.
Yeah, because I'm just doing a deep dive into the Ava Wiki right now. An interesting thing, in the proposal, the angels were going to be called apostles.
I'm trying to think whether that would be more appropriate or not. I don't think so. I mean, the biggest question here would be, like, where are the angels themselves actually coming from? Because as far as I'm aware, unless it's in supplemental material or the manga, it's never referenced in the anime or movie.
The manga states all angels were created from Adam.
That I know, that was in the anime, but where are they coming from? Like, where have they been since they were created?
I don't actually know that.
That's what I want to know, because, like, most of them are already on the planet. Then you have the winged one, which is coming in from, like, orbit
and
somewhere.
There was... Oh, another one of my favorites.
Where the heck was Kaoru the entire time until he was sent to Nerve?
The Picasso one. Like the three-eyed one that fell in from deep orbit.
I'm trying to remember which one that is.
That they had to catch.
I don't remember which one that is. Was that the one that was in the volcano?
No, it was the one right after. No, two after the volcano one.
Trying to remember which one it is.
There was the spidery power outage one.
Yeah.
And then there was the Picasso eye. And then there was the computer virus.
Oh, right. The one that was like dripping acid down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another one of my favorites.
Okay, alright. But yeah, it doesn't really explain where they're coming from, though. Like, they've not been around for who knows how long. They may have existed before or around the same time humanity came into existence, right? We don't know when Adam spawned them and where they've been hanging around since before then or after that point. I have no idea. I'm curious.
And an interesting thing is, in Rebuild, they renumber the angels and they add three angels.
Oh, really? So there's 20, not including humanity?
No. They erased some of them. Like,
oh, okay.
Like, Laylil, the shadow one.
The shadow one's cool, though.
Yeah.
That one's up there for me. The shadow one was cool.
The computer virus one, they erased. And
yeah, they kind of rehashed that in the movie, didn't they?
Yeah.
The computer virus idea.
Kind of.
Like, I remember they even took, like, the same thing where there was only, like, one square left of the last Magi, about to be taken over until they activate the thing and take it all back again.
Although there is a plot in the manga where, like, the power goes out of Nerve, Misato and Kaji are stuck in the elevator.
That's in the anime.
But the angel doesn't attack during that whole scene.
Crazy sex fiends.
And in the manga, Shinji and Asuka were going to kiss during that.
Huh. Where were they during that? I'm trying to remember where they were during that in the anime.
They were exploring Nerve, trying to get to the Avas.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Following Ray, trying to get there.
So they could battle the spider one.
Right. Okay, yeah.
The angels that were added is some dinosaur-looking skeleton.
And then again, most of them are strange.
A floating hands of a clock with Sachiel's mask, the third angel's mask, and whenever it hits a certain time, it fires a beam, and the new 12th angel, which I can't really make out what it is. It kind of seems like, what's his name from Earthbound? The final boss. Gallows.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that from the screenshots I'm seeing. So they added some, took out some, and I think there are 13 in the Rebuild series.
Probably because it's a shorter time frame to work with, huh?
And something else that's really interesting, as I mentioned in part 2, they condensed the series into 2 movies while making drastically big changes over on, including a brand new Ava pilot who has more secrets than she's letting on.
Oh, so it's another girl then.
Yes. And
so Shinji's building a harem.
Kind of. I believe there's Shinji Ikari Raising Project manga, which is basically a harem anime.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
But I haven't seen the Rebuild 3 yet, although it's been out for like 3-4 years, and I should get on that.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't know. I've seen 1 and 2. But...
Yeah, and those are just rehashes. What are you doing?
But number 3, what's the angel with ribbon arms? Do you know that one?
I remember which one it is. I just don't remember which number it is.
Okay, but you do know which one I'm talking about.
Yes.
So...
Slices off Asuka's arms.
Yeah. Asuka actually has a mental breakdown earlier in the rebuild, and so it's basically Rei is getting annihilated by this. So Shinji goes to save her, and instead of actually absorbing its S2 engine, Shinji unintentionally causes third impact.
That early?
But it's stopped by Kwaru.
Oh, so 17 boy is there already.
Yes.
That's fairly early.
And he says, Shinji Ikari, this time I will truly make you happy. Which made me think, okay, that and a few other things, is this more than a reboot? Is this a sequel?
That seems weird. Like, if it's a sequel, does that mean events are just re-unfolding? Is this a cycle?
I don't know. But, from what I was reading about, Ava 3.0 takes place 14 years after near Third Impact, with everybody now trying to create Fourth Impact.
Why does everybody want to keep creating this stupid impact?
I don't know.
Speaking of which, what the hell is First Impact? Because that's never brought up.
It's actually the meteor that killed the dinosaurs.
I'm sorry, what?
The meteor that killed the dinosaurs.
Why the fuck is that First Impact?
I don't know.
Like, unless you're gonna tell me that's how Adam got to Earth? Like, how does that have anything to do with the angels and what's going on?
Let's see here.
And even if that's the case, we know where that crater is at.
Apparently.
It's not in Antarctica.
No, Second Impact was in Antarctica.
I know, I'm just pointing out that, like, if it's the meteor that killed the dinosaurs, and if it was Adam, quote unquote, that was delivered there through First Impact, that wouldn't make sense, because the location for that crater is, I believe, somewhere in the Caribbean. Like for the actual crater from the meteor that killed the dinosaurs.
It doesn't necessarily say if it is the meteor that killed the dinosaurs, but it was a collision of a large spherical object approximately 4 billion years ago.
So why do they call that First Impact? It has nothing to do with the other impacts they talk about.
The large spherical object was later designated the Black Moon. The thing that Lilith Ray draws out to create Third Impact.
That still wouldn't make sense, though. Because you're telling me it was the same impact that killed the dinosaurs, right? That's still the case?
No. I was mistaken.
Okay, alright.
I thought it was, but now that I'm reading here, it is actually not.
Alright, I was gonna say, because again, that's in the Caribbean, and Nerve is located out near Japan. And again, this is all supplemental material, I'm assuming, therefore, I'm taking it with a hefty spoon of salt.
Yes. And I'm not too sure where all this, if this is all in, like, the proposal of Evangelion, or if this is in some of the video games, because there's like 5 or 6 video games, some of which are dating sims, some of which are actual, more storyline-based expansions of the episodes.
I still feel like... Has there ever been any, like, direct thing that says, yes, this is canon, and no, this isn't? Or is this all up to speculation on whether that's the case or not? I
would say anything that follows the storyline of the anime in game format is to be trusted a little bit more than the dating sims?
I would be under the impression that they might be throwing filler in there, though. Because I know there are Naruto games where there are straight up filler shoved in there. Like, there's a point where there's like a Mecha Naruto in one of those games.
But does it contradict anything from the Naruto main anime?
I don't know about that game specifically, where the Mecha Naruto's involved, but I do know that in some of them, it's like sped along, and they do use a handful of things to make that happen that aren't quite what happens in the anime.
Okay.
Like with games, you do get the chance to take some liberties with these things. Like, you want to talk DBZ games, they throw in movie characters that aren't canon. And if you didn't know that, you'd assume they were canon somewhere in the series.
Let's see here. In one of Shinji's textbooks, there is a quick flash that mentions First Impact.
Is that in again, what is
Yes.
that in? The anime or the manga or?
It says that it is from the original collection release of the anime.
Okay. Do we have any idea what it says?
It mentions 1, First Impact, 2, Fall of Massive Meteorite, 1, Second Impact, 2, Upheaval in Northern Hemisphere, 3, Transferring of Second Tokyo.
You know what it could be? It could be referring, then again, that still wouldn't make sense. I was gonna say it refers to like maybe mass extinctions, but there are plenty more mass extinctions than just what happened with the dinos. Like, there have been, I think, 3 or 4 outright mass extinctions that have happened in Earth, like regular Earth's history.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's at least one more if you're counting Second Impact, and then a second one on top of that with Third Impact from Ava.
It's actually in episode 7.
Okay.
That's where
But again, that doesn't really tell us much. Like, just that it was a bunch of meteors coming down.
Yeah, and it was a quick flash of Shinji's textbook, so
Not a lot of detail either.
First Impact was mentioned in the show for like a second or two, so.
It doesn't satisfy me though, because again, the way that like Impact stuff is phrased, it seems like it has a direct connection with the Angels in some way, shape, or form. And the fact that we don't know what First Impact is kind of bothers me.
But I think...
Because wouldn't that be the original? Because my thought was, because I didn't think there was any mention of it as far as the series went. My original thought was like, maybe that's how mankind was created, from Lilith. Maybe that was First Impact. But from what you're talking about, and that flash, that doesn't seem to be the case.
But remember, it's only called Second Impact because they're led to believe like something impacted the Earth.
Yeah, but those that are in the know that's not the case. You'd think they'd have a different word for it or a different name for it.
Good point.
Again, if there was a first, you'd think, like, you know, they'd be naming it after that.
Good point.
Like, why wouldn't they just call it the Antarctica event or something like that? I'm actually curious about the phrasing of Impact now. Literally just because of the fact that, like, you could just call it the quote-unquote whatever event. Like, it could be the Antarctic event, it could be whatever other event, because there's no real understanding as to what exactly happened, other than for those that were there or that were in the know of the project. Like, as for everyone else, it's like, oh, well, a meteor hit it, so, you know, that happened. But where is First Impact? Where was the other one? Like, again, if everyone knows what it was, why not just call it what it was? Instead of just sticking to the, you know, the secret code name for what, you know, the cover-up story for what it was. It's weird to me, for that, in that case. I'm trying to think what other questions I had, because honestly I followed this far more easily than I thought I would from what I've understood of Ava beforehand. So my questions are much more minimal than normal.
I thought you would have a few more questions.
Again, like, any questions I would have had from 25 and 26 were completely answered or nearly completely answered by the movie. And that's only because I know everything's happening in Shinji's head in those last 2 episodes. It's just what's happening on the outside. And I can gather from a handful of still shots what's kind of going on to a degree, but not completely. The movie fills all of that in. At least as far as the main story goes. Obviously, you've got all the philosophy and all this other mess of stuff that you can delve in and just start digging into.
And just diving into a alternate world of Evangelion, the Evangelion Campus Apocalypse, which is, from what I understand, a little bit more tokusatsu monster of the week than anime, where Evas are actually weapons than giant robots. I'm just seeing here that Quaru is a main character, but has shady background in it.
I mean, he's an angel. He's a dirty, scummy angel. What do you expect?
Shinji's Eva manifests itself as a gun. Quaru's Eva manifests itself as a sword.
Why does this sound like a magical girl anime?
Rei wields the Lance of Longinus in combat.
Appropriate.
Asuka, I cannot find it, but I thought she uses a whip.
I was really hoping you were going to tell me brass knuckles. I would be down with Asuka just beating the shit out of people.
And from what I know about that and read about that in the past week, it ends with Gendo being the main villain, except it's actually Gendo from a darker timeline that our Eva takes place in.
So wait, he has time travel powers?
I have not read Campus Apocalypse, so I don't know.
That seems so dumb.
So the Shinji of that world's father died and got replaced by a different Gendo Akari, one who has his own goals for working with the angels and things like that.
It sounds so dumb.
Hey, it only lasted 2 years, so it was a very brief manga.
Hence why it was cancelled. It's so dumb.
Actually, I think it had a decent ending.
It was so dumb. I'm not gonna let this... It was dumb.
They actually have somewhat of a third impact in there too, but I can't quite find what it is.
I mean, of course they have to, because that was in the original, so we gotta shove it in here too.
Yep, 22 chapters, so...
Well, do we want to get into, like, philosophical stuff yet?
And one more thing, it says it's more of a shoujo anime than...
Oh, even more reason for me to stay away.
Oh, yeah.
Shinji... I don't hate shoujo, most of them just don't appeal to me.
Yeah, Shinji looks rather Byoshun in this than typical Shinji.
Oh, man. Here's what I'm imagining, right? This is all a fantasy inside Asuka's head.
I would like to see...
That's the ending. It's just all a dream sequence for Asuka. It'd be so beautiful.
She wakes up in another anime, she's like, wow, what a dream.
Or even better, she gets the same thing that Shinji was having, like that whole dream sequence where he has like an anime playing in his head of how things could be. This is the same thing for Asuka.
Although I've heard, what's it called? Angelic Days, which is the manga based on the alternate universe. I've heard that was pretty good. Although you may not like it because it's more quirky high school comedy rather than what we think of as Evangelion.
I probably wouldn't like it. I'll be honest. I don't, it doesn't sound like something I'd like.
but I would highly recommend Petite Ava at School, which is the super deformed comedy.
I don't know.
And
you told me about that too, and I don't know if I'd like it either.
I know this will carry over into the audio of our podcast, but it's only a minute long, and I would like to hear your thoughts on this video that I'm sending you. And before you play it, after he was finished recording episode 26, Spike Spencer, the English voice of Shinji, said, No, keep the mics rolling. I want to say something. And,
okay.
And this video is what he was saying.
Oh boy. Alright.
Oh, this is nice. This is the end. Okay. Where exactly am I? Here's the song. Oh, good. There's some things that are still unresolved here, guys. How do I get home? What do I eat? Was Ray my mom? Or
He's
the
not
clone?
happy.
Or, hell, was this all in my mind? What's an Ava? Is that sort of a Freudian thing, or,
He is
am I
really
real?
not happy.
Oh, hell, does the bus run through here? I mean, I'd like to go home now, but, oh, God, where's home?
Hold on. I'm pausing this for a second. I know he references Freud, but in recent years, Freud has kind of fallen out of favor with people.
Yes.
Just because he's kind of been found out to be a coke fiend. Alright, so back into this. I'm about halfway through.
Okay.
Okay. I mustn't run away. Okay, I got that. Good. Okay. Now, if I were to run away, let's analyze that. Where the fuck would I go? I'm on a big blue ball. Is this how you end the series? I mean, is this where we go from here? Okay, the movie better sure as hell make up for this. I'm telling you right now. Because I'm stuck in nowhere land. You ran out of ink too, didn't you
I love this. I love this. It's so beautiful. It's great. It's great. And yes, Shinji, the movie kind of does help you out here. Holy shit.
Somewhat.
I mean, it fixes it enough to more or less put things back to normal. More or less.
But I just love it how he's like, no, keep the mics rolling. I have a few things to say about this.
I mean, to be fair, right? The way these things tend to be recorded is that they get a visual of what's going on in the series.
Yeah.
As they're recording. So he's seeing the same shit we are and having to record for it.
I'm on a big blue ball. Where would I go?
Where the fuck is home?
Does the bus run through here?
It's great. That's beautiful. I love it. He's just so upset. Just like all the fans.
And he does it in character, which is even better.
Was this a special feature on the DVDs? I would love for that to be the case.
It was actually a alternate audio option just for that scene. So you have the English track, the Japanese track, the commentary track, and the Shinji ranting during the credits track.
So it was a bonus on like the DVDs, right?
Yes.
Perfect. That's what I wanted. That's all I wanted. Can we just, if they do shit like that, it totally makes the DVDs worth buying at that point. Like, it makes it worth owning the physical copies. Like, I know that there are some people who are like, why would I ever want the physical copies? Why would I ever want a DVD? When I can just watch it online for free or digitally. Yeah. That right there, that shit is what would sell. Like, ridiculous rants about a terrible, terrible plot that makes no sense. Or like, other shit that just goes on in the series. That would sell. Actually, speaking of which, and maybe this is gonna be a spoiler for people coming later, we should do, I gotta look it up, but it's one where like the voice actors just go full ham on their roles. Like, there's no script. They just improvise the entire thing.
Oh, I think I've heard of that.
I think it's
anime.
like Ghost Stories or something.
Yeah, Ghost Stories.
We should do that. That's,
So,
that shit's amazing.
So what you're saying is, you want Eric Vale to just rip on Cashin.
Yes. That would get me to buy it. Just so I can hear somebody else be angry like me.
Okay, let's dive into a little bit more Evangelion philosophy.
Sorry, I'm choking on my own drink. You mentioned Cashard. Things happen.
Your delicious, delicious tang?
No, not my tang. I'm not Chinese.
No.
On my delicious raspberry iced tea.
You don't get that reference?
I might if you explain it.
When everybody was becoming LCL, they were getting tanged.
Yes, right.
Yes.
Okay. Fair joke. I didn't catch it. Yeah. That means I'm dumb.
And you don't know, like, the few Ava memes out there.
You're right, because this was the first time I've ever watched Ava. Therefore, I don't know things. This is what it comes, when you're just a pleb that doesn't know shit.
Yes.
So why don't we discuss the idea of why does the world / humanity need to be reunited? Because that seems to be the end all be all for this.
I think it's because this is all put on Shinji now, and in the state of emotional distress Shinji is in, since he is scared to put himself out of others, I'm thinking Nerve or Sele, since they are two separate entities, want to Shinji as the catalyst so that everything can be unified for some reason. I don't know where I'm going with that. I thought I had an idea, but I do not.
As you were talking, I kind of thought of something, though, right?
Okay.
So, I was thinking along the lines of this kind of is reminiscent of, like, Shinto beliefs to a degree.
Oh, so there's
where,
Shinto.
Like, there might be. I don't know. The idea is that, like, within Shinto, God is within everything, or, like, a little piece of it. In Eva, I would say that's not quite the case. I would say it's just humanity. But, like, the idea being, like, Lilith is the mother of all humanity, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's a little bit of Lilith in every single human being, which would make some sense, what would happen if you brought all of Lilith back together at that point?
Oh.
Is that kind of what it's going for? Like, why would the world need to be reunited? What does that really have as an end goal, right? You, at one point, told me that Sele wanted themselves to, like, become God while the rest of humanity died.
Yes.
What does that do for them if they became God? What are they gonna do after that? Are they gonna, like, spark new life? Or, like...
Well, they will be inside AV Unit 1, which can now last forever, since...
And?
I don't know what Sele's goal is after they enter Unit 1 and become God.
So they don't have an end goal. My point is, right...
That I know of. It may have been stated in the anime, but in the blurb I read, all I got to the point was they wanted to become God by merging themselves into Unit 1.
Well, here's the thing then, right? Because once everybody becomes one being, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like Shinji says in, like, the series, you're still alone. You're a single being with nothing else. You can't see yourself. You can't see the reflection of who you are through others. You can't identify what you are. You just exist. And there's nothing else to have as reference for what you are, who you are, or what else there is. You're a single being, and you're alone, with nothing else there.
And only you can truly know who you are.
Not even then, because you don't have reference for any of that.
Because
you can't know exactly
around.
who you are, because there's no one else around to notice what you are.
And
right?
That's why you need other people around you.
Like, even then, right? Even then, if you are a single being and you're alone in the universe, which I'm not even going to touch on potentially alien races just because of the fact that A, it's not directly mentioned in the anime, and B, it's just going to throw a whole nother kettle of fish into this, because where do those aliens come from? That would just throw a whole other problem in there, into this monkey wrench of a situation that already exists. So I'm just going to say that humanity in this case is the only other existing being in the world, right? Like, now that the angels are obviously dead. If you're a singular being with nothing else around you, you got shit all to do. Especially with, like, Ava Unit 1 running indefinitely. Like, you don't need to eat, you don't need shit, you don't need anything. You have no point in your existence, and you have no point to have, like, fulfillment. So my thought would be, right, and I forget exactly where this is from. I want to say it's from, like, maybe Shinto or, like, some other religion, where, like, God breaks pieces of himself off in order to experience the world, because he can't do it from his perch up above everything. But, like, I think that was the idea when humanity was born in this series. The idea was to experience the world and all of its pain, pleasure, and everything in between.
So the angels are almost human, just like the Avas.
I would say yes.
Because,
as far as we're aware, Lilith and Adam are of the same breed, or of the same make.
And I don't think it was stated, it was stated in the anime that they are like 98.5% comparable to the human genome.
Yes, they're extremely close.
And I think even Masato said they're humans who rejected the human form.
I don't remember that part.
It may have been in the manga.
If that were the case, that leads to a whole nother can of worms of, like, different possibilities and problems that would arise. Because that would mean literally any human could be an angel.
But humanity itself is the 18th angel.
How should I put this? It means that they could mutate, is my point. Any single human could mutate into one of the previous angels.
Okay. Now we know
or into a new version of an angel.
If I knew exactly where it was in the manga, I would walk over and flip through it and find it, the exact quote, but it may be something along those lines.
Yeah, that leads to a whole lot of problems if that ends up being the actual case. Because that means literally every single human being is a threat is a potential threat. Because that means anybody could at any point become an angel if they reject staying as a human. Or if they reject, the body of a human. Like that, it leads to way too many problems, and it leads to, like, literal civil war with everyone else at that point. Like, it causes anarchy. It's the same idea that our president had by giving guns to teachers. You don't know who you can trust anymore. I hate to bring that up in this, but, like, to me it's just an insane idea.
I can always take it out if...
You can. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, we kind of discussed this, but one of the other questions I had was, like, what does it mean for the world to be broken, which I kind of went into. Like, broken into individuals, which, again, we've touched on that. The whole hedgehog dilemma is a big one as well, I'd say.
How you can't get close to people without hurting them.
Yeah, hedgehogs crave warmth, but they can't get close together because of their quills. So they keep their distance and remain cold, or, in other words, they live without the warmth of others. That's a lot of what Eva is, that everybody is alone in some way, shape, or form. A lot of it is that, isolation. A lot of it is a root of sadness. Nobody can ever truly know what another person is thinking. For all I know, you're planning to knife me at some point.
Dude, I would never do that.
As you're plotting it slowly on the keyboard.
Oh, man.
Like miscommunication, there's all sorts of problems that arise from the fact that there are two individual wills that are not the same. But what can you really do? If you merge everything together and everyone is the same, then it's just a world without diversity. It's a world that's essentially dead. Nothing new comes forward. It's all the same. Because nobody has a new original idea. Everybody comes up with the same idea.
And I know this isn't really part of our philosophical concept, but how did you feel when the budget started decreasing with a lot more still shots and a lot more interesting uses of animation?
I think I didn't really notice it all that much up until episodes 25 and 26.
So
where it really got hammered into me.
So the 50-second long elevator ride of silence.
Okay, yes, those where I'm like, all right, there's points of this that are dragging on way too long. I did that stuff I did notice. There's a point where Shinji and Misato are just staring at each other for a while Shinji didn't get on that train the first time.
Mm-hmm.
That lasts for nearly a minute. This just drags on to the point of almost awkwardness.
And I kind of enjoyed but the elevator scene was good because Asuka's all mad and the only person in there is Rei. Rei is antisocial. Asuka doesn't feel like talking to anybody in her fit of anger. So I found that to be a very human scene.
I agree, but I still feel like it took too long. I felt it was drawn out far too long. You can have that scene, but you could literally have the time and you'd still get that feeling. My biggest problem is that it just feels like it's more awkward and almost actually, when it comes to the pacing is what I should say. It makes the pacing worse of the episodes that have that. And it really throws it off and makes it really awkward. To the point where I was trying to skip through it and I'm like, shit, I've gone too far. I gotta go back. Because I was like, this is just taking too long. Is this gonna last for minutes on end or what the fuck?
Yeah, and also Shinji choosing whether or not to kill Quaru. That also lasted a bit
that was
too
another
long.
one. I think it was those three specifically that I was almost to the point, and in some cases actually to the point of trying to skip to where the stuff picked up again. It's it's fine for it to take a while, but it's just drawing on way too long. Way longer than it should. Where it doesn't feel natural anymore. It feels awkward and not right. If they had flashed, rather than just staying on the shot of Ava Unit 1, if they had flashed back and forth between the faces of Shinji and Quaru and that shot of Ava Unit 1 holding it rather than just again, those could have been 3 still shots right there, just flashing back and forth between those same 3 still shots. And with maybe slowly ramping up music. It would have been better than just the slow pan out on just Ava Unit 1 holding him.
Yeah.
And I don't think that would have done much as far as impact the budget in any way, because you're just reusing the same frames. But yeah, point is, there are ways they could have gotten around it that I think would have been just as cost efficient, and less awkward. Actually, that's the same thing with the elevator scene. You could have had flashes of Rei's face over to Asuka's face, then to the the shot of what is it, a 3/4 view of them in the elevator together. That the main one. Again, just flashes to those same frames. That all you need to do. to not make it as awkward as staring at a same still frame for a minute straight. But, yeah, what were we on again? Hedgehog Dilemma, I think?
Yes.
Yeah. The Hedgehog Dilemma is a lot of things where it's just like, everyone's lonely, everyone's got their problems, nobody can truly understand them, and it's honestly only you that can work your way out of those problems. Nobody else can truly understand where you're at exactly. Like, if somebody's been depressed before, they have an idea, but they don't know exactly where somebody is or how bad it is. They could be a much milder or a much more severe case than you had been. You would never know that perfectly. That is a lonesome feeling because, I mean, you can never truly express what you're feeling to somebody in that regard.
Like they were saying, like, I am the Shinji Ikari that exists in my mind, and I am the Shinji Ikari that exists in your mind.
Yes. That's a lot of things, too. Because, like, I remember in, I think it was my philosophy class in high school, where the whole idea of people put on different hats, or masks, if you prefer. There's the person, that does their work. Like, for instance, you, when you go to work, you're a different person than when you're at home. Like, that's just how it is. You act differently, and whether that's minorly or, not, that depends on the person and what their job is. Like, you go to work and you're, say, like a professional real estate salesman or something. You're far more professional than you are in your, like, day-to-day life. Whereas at home, you could just be a slob that just has shit all over the place like Misato does. Like, actually, she's a perfect example. Look how together she is when she's at work, assuming Kaji's not around, obviously.
Oh, Kaji.
Look how she is when she's at the house with Shinji and everybody else. She's a slob who just downs can of beer after beer. And then, of course, even another hat, which is her with Kaji. Like, there's 3 different versions of her there.
Can we just dive into who killed Kaji?
That's a good question, because I didn't even realize he was dead at first. Because didn't he, like, send Misato the that little capsule or whatever that had the information in it? And that was after the point where he, like, sent that message to her on the phone. Like, left her that message.
No, I think in the episode before that, they had sex, and I think he said, I wanted to give you something.
Oh, and she just never opened it until later.
Yes.
Okay, alright. I thought it was like, he had sent it just before he had died.
No.
That's what I was thinking. I forgot about that, him handing her something. I thought, she had gotten her pregnant.
Oh.
I thought that's where it was kind of leading toward.
Oh.
Even though that was never confirmed since she kind of dies before that moment, but
Yeah.
I kind of assumed that's what it was.
And I'm not 100% sure if this was Anno just going, I'm sick of people asking me this, but according to Anno, it was a nameless soldier. No one from the main cast, just an unknown soldier that just kills Kaji.
When does that happen exactly again? I don't remember.
Mid-episode 22?
Also, is he a double or triple crosser at that point?
I think at that point he's triple.
Because he was against Nerve, brought in the, the sub-commander. Then he goes in and releases the sub-commander and helps him escape and get back to Nerve, but we never see him at Nerve again after that.
I know he's in league with the Japan Super Secret Defense Force.
Is that what he's in league with?
I don't know.
I was thinking he was in league with Seele.
Maybe he's in league with them too? Because
I'm not 100% sure where he is and who it is that kills him. Which side the guy was on.
At that point.
Yeah, was it a Nerve agent? Was it someone from Seele? Was it, the Japanese Defense Force like you're talking about?
Okay, another question. In End of Evangelion, and I am pretty sure...
Also, hold on. What happens to Kaji's melons?
Oh,
They're so important. Did they get blown up?
And, okay, another question. Right before Ritsuko dies in the movie. What does Gendo say to her?
I'm going to assume it's like, I loved you or something like that.
That's what I'm guessing too.
I assume it was something that would have been like, something that was really kind, which is why she calls him a liar. That, to me, is the way that scene plays out.
During direction of that scene for the Japanese audio, Anno just gave her one small hint on what Gendo might have said, and she instantly nailed the lines. Even Anno himself didn't give the full information on what the line actually was.
I'm curious if that's ever been leaked at all, or if he's just kept hold of that.
The manga actually says, oh, what is it? It's like, you are a good scientist, and I love you.
Okay. Actually, that's something we should also mention, like, and this probably should have been brought up in the main episode, but that the Magi system literally has her mother's brain in it. Like, almost to the point where it's Eva technology at that point. You're incorporating human brain activity into this now.
So do the 3 Magis have part of her brain? Because I know Casper has a brain-like insides to it.
It could be. At the very least, it seems like it's the upper half of the brain. It could be that the lower, I think it's the cerebral cortex, I want to say. But you have those lobes at the bottom, underneath the main big piece of the brain.
And those are split into the other 2 Magi.
I was going to say that's in one, that lower piece, and then you have the brain stem itself, which might be in the other one.
Okay.
Since it's not sliced down from like right and left side of the brain, because you have 3.
And even more religious symbolism, the Magi are named after the 3 wise men of the Bible.
Yeah, that one straight up the Bible.
Yeah,
like I said, there's not as much, it feels like, as there is the Judaistic texts.
Like Casper, Balthazar, and Melchior, I think?
Yes, Melchior, yep.
Okay, cool.
You got them all right. Congrats.
Yay. Which makes me think, Magi units in Germany, United States, what are they named?
That's a very good question.
How are they powered?
Again, a very good question. I'm assuming that it's not the same, because they were looking to, like, take control of the original Magi units.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that they're not as powerful as those, which is why they needed 5 to take on 1.
I would just love, and it's probably done, like, Jeff Simmons, Nerve Personnel American Branch, and just a typical day for Jeff Simmons at American Nerve.
He's just over there, he just sees the Ava unit, like, what was it, Ava Unit 3 detonate, and he's just like,
No, 4 got detonated in Nevada. I believe 3 was being built in Massachusetts.
Alright, so let's just say that he's at Nevada, and he's like the guy that's on guard duty all the way out at the very end of, like, the premises, right?
Yeah.
And he just hears it go off, he just looks back, just turns back toward what's going on, watching on guard duty. Like, it just goes to night, and he just looks back, getting kinda late, wonder where my reprieve's at. Oh well. Just goes back. Alright, now I'm confused. He walks over, it's just a giant hole in the ground. What the hell happened? My lunch was in there.
Or Nerve office worker.
They're just all like freaking Misato, and they're all like sexual deviants. They just literally want to fuck everywhere. They're all just gonna like poke down on like a janitor's closet or something. It's like Scruffy opens up the door. Well, I guess it's that time of day again. Closes the door and walks away.
No, we should do...
No, hold on. Even better. He opens up the door. Excuse me. Just grabs like a mop out of there. Alright, you two have fun now. Just walks away and closes the door.
It wasn't done yet. We should do like some Evangelion fan thing about American Nerve and how pointless it is.
All right, so yeah, getting back to the original question, I think the Magi that the other countries have are probably like previous versions of the current Magi at Nerve. I would assume that that's before Ritsuko's mother's brain was incorporated into everything.
So perhaps they're even like underpowered Magi. That's why they needed 5
I would assume,
of them?
They're not as advanced as the original is. Like, they probably got blueprints of an earlier version of it, and they used those.
Okay.
That would be my guess, and that's why they need 5 to take on 1.
So why do all the angels look different? I know, granted, it's an anime. You can't always have them face something that looks like Godzilla every week.
I don't know. I think you could do that and be very convincing. Isn't that what Power Rangers and Sentai does every time?
Kind of.
See? I'm not wrong. They managed to do it and they still make money.
Yeah, like Tokusatsu in general, with the Monster of the Week, it all looks different creatures. But, like you said, the final 3 angels embody the halo, the wings, and
the body. But, yeah, the final 3 are supposed to embody the classical look of an angel. Granted, like, if you're looking at different versions of, like, old text versions of angels, you can find a vast variety. I think that's, if I remember right, that's where they're pulling from, is, like, old text of, like, either Judaistic or potentially even, like, stuff from India's Mahabharata and other things like that.
Mahabharata? I've never heard of that.
You've not heard of the Mahabharata?
No.
Yeah, it's an old Indian religious text.
Oh.
Either that or it's mythological, one of the two. I don't remember. Hold on. Here we go, Mahabharata. It is 2 of the major Sanskrit epics of India. Okay, so yeah, so it's like the Iliad and the Odyssey of India, essentially.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pulling from like stuff like that, I think. Because, like, in India, you get to see, like, big things like flying chariots in the sky.
Ooh.
And shit, like, in their religious texts and stuff. Like, it's nuts. Some of this. Like, it's almost straight out of, like, sci-fi. What you see in their things, almost. Like, I know that when I used to watch Ancient Aliens, and yes, I'm guilty of watching that show, just because I find it interesting, even if I don't buy it. They like to reference that one a lot. Different, like, Indian religious texts and how you can interpret, like, certain hieroglyphs in Egypt, and how one, like, while one might look like a flower, if you look a little bit, to the right and squint your eyes a little, all of a sudden it's a light bulb. But yeah, no, like, if you're pulling from ancient, like, texts, whether that's, there's also one in freaking the Aztecs, like, I think it was, not the Mayans, but the Aztecs, had one where it looks like the guy's in a freaking spaceship almost, like in a rocket going off into the moon. But yeah, like, you could be pulling from different religious or different ancient civilizations and just grabbing different iconographies out of those. And just adapting them to fit your story at that point, or to fit in the world that you've created.
And going back to Ava 4 for just a minute, in some supplemental material, it was not blown up. And it does have a pilot, Kensuke, one of the nerdy friend of Shinji.
Ida?
Yeah, Ida.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just going by first name.
I'm just so disappointed he couldn't become a pilot. That man he was so desperate.
And in this shot that I'm seeing now, it seems to be more of a silvery Unit 3.
Interesting.
More like silvery white, as compared to Unit 3's, like, really...
Wait, hold on, I got a question. Am I wrong, but wasn't Unit 0 orange at one point? Like in the beginning?
In the very beginning, in the flashback scene, it was orange.
And then it was blue later.
Yes.
Alright. I just thought of that for some reason when you brought up, like, silver color, because I'm like, wait a minute, what colors do we have then? We had orange/blue with 0. We have purple, as the major color with 1.
Although
red.
in
Silver and then black?
Yes.
And then white for the manufactured ones?
Mm-hmm. More like it's silvery white for Unit 4.
Okay.
Yeah, although in Rebuild, Unit 1 has a little bit more green accents to it.
Okay.
I actually like the Rebuild Unit 1 better than the original Unit 1. Just the fact that the green makes it pop just a bit more.
I mean, those are, especially because it's a lime green, but those are contrary colors. I think I'm using the right term, I forget. They're the ones that are like on opposite sides of the color wheel. Because you're working with like, purple and yellow tend to be the ones that are contrary colors.
Okay.
But you can always shift it a little bit to one side or another, so it could be purple and like a yellow orange, or in this case, purple and like a yellow green. And usually it'll end up working together.
And one thing that I'm just a tiny bit mad about that the manga added that we don't see in the anime, they have a chainsaw.
But do they have a pen?
Yes, Pen is in the manga.
See, the best character is in there. What problem do we have?
But they don't have a chainsaw while fighting the angels.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that all they have is the knife. I'm shocked that they don't have straight up, like, swords at that point.
I'm trying to... No. In the manga, they do not have swords either. They do have, like, the rifle that gets brought up with them.
Actually, that's the other thing I was curious about. How do those work exactly? Like against an AT field? Because isn't that just a normal weapon?
I'm guessing it has some Ava technology built into it, like with anti-AT bullets.
Maybe? I'd be curious to know, because it's never really mentioned as to why it would work against an AT field any different than, like, you know, the regular stuff. Because, I mean, like, if that were the case, couldn't they incorporate that technology into, like, missiles and stuff? Or, like, the cannons they use as well against it?
I am not 100% sure.
Like, it brings up a lot of questions of why can't you just incorporate this anti-AT field technology in the bullets into other things? Like, into other weaponry?
Because then we would have no plot, because the army could fight the angels.
See, now you're arguing that it's the plot's fault, when you should be arguing what the rationale would be to not do that.
You mean from a world point of view, and not just the series point of view?
From the world point of view.
Then I don't exactly know why Nerve doesn't share the technology. Maybe the Dead Sea...
the only thing I can think of is that Gendo doesn't want to share that technology, so that way they have to depend on him.
Okay. Or maybe there's something in the Dead Sea Scrolls that says, do not share this technology with normal people.
Oh, I'm sure, because, you know, Sele is the ones that are reading that thing. I'm sure they would be like, yeah, no, you really shouldn't give us this technology that, you know, will save our fucking lives.
Yeah, it says here on page 17 of the Dead Sea Scrolls, do not share Ava technology. And scribbled it with marker. So, what did you think of the vat of Rays near the end of the series?
I kind of assumed Ray was a clone pretty early on, partly because I remember hearing it in, like, peripheral, from other stuff. So I'm like, I know Ray's not a real human being. I didn't know exactly what she was. But I knew she wasn't completely real. Like, as far as being fully human.
Apparently, and again, I'm diving into the main manga here, but Quaru is also a manufactured human.
That was my other question about that, but yeah, I kind of got the same thing when he said to Rei in the anime about how, like, they were the same. And I'm like, alright, so is he just, like, a backup now? Like, is he the new version of Rei since, you know, all the Reis were killed by Ritsuko? Like, is he the backup dummy project that Gendo had in place just in case something would happen?
And if you notice, in all the mass-produced Avas, their dummy plug said Quaru on it.
I did not see that. Actually, I don't think their dummy plugs ever come out that I can remember.
No. Right as they were just about to be dropped from the plane, the red dummy plug goes into them.
Okay, I missed that.
And something else that I just found out about, and I forgot to bring this up with Orion because he might think it's funny. During the... Oh, I forget the name of the song. I think it's Come Sweet Death in German. Like the Tumbling Down song. During, like, Shinji's freak out where you get a mass avalanche of still frames, 4 still frames are of Evangelion merchandise.
Buy our stuff! Buy our stuff!
So,
please buy our stuff.
Kind of unintended subliminal messaging about, hey, Ava merchandise.
They were kind of doing that when Asuka was getting mind raped too, like with the flashing text that was there for like a handful of frames and then gone.
And I know that if you would slow down and go frame by frame in the movies, there's a bunch of stuff like all the death threats and hate mail that got sent to Anno from the main series. There's like some like merchandise for 4 frames. There's I forget what, but there's a bunch of like hidden stuff in there. And what was that one thing they just heard? Oh yes. And this is a little bit disturbing, but in the movie, when they do the quick pan across the vat of rays, 2 of them have Shinji's face.
Yeah. That's kind of creepy.
I don't know what that means. Why is Shinji in the vat of rays?
I almost want to say somebody got lazy or made a mistake, and because of the fact that they were low on budget, they couldn't fix it.
But this is the movie where they had a lot of budget back.
Somebody made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And they were too lazy to fix it.
And from what I understand, and at the point where it's going now, that we will now have a 4th ending of Ava, more if you count the supplemental materials, with the whole rebuild ending. Oh, and Toji's sister does show up in Rebuild 3.
She exists?
Yes.
You mean Toji's not, hallucinating the entire time?
No.
That's something I should have brought up with Orion. Toji's obviously hallucinating because she's never shown. She doesn't exist. He's just she's a hallucination in his mind. He's just crazy.
And I'm not too sure if it's brought up in the anime or manga. Her sister's name is Sakura. In 2.0, she was
I think it was mentioned? Because that name's familiar.
In 2.0, she wasn't given a name until Ava 3.0. Okay. She was released from the hospital in 2.0, and this is the first time we see her, and then after 3.0 is the 14-year time jump when she is about, it doesn't say an age here, but I would say maybe like 19 or 20.
He's like a 2nd grader, I think.
Yes.
During the events of Ava.
And then she is working for...
She's like 16 or something. Or not 16, 14 years... Yeah, you'd be right, like 18 or 19, somewhere in there.
Uh-huh. And she is part of Willy, or German for Will, so I guess it's Will, which is an anti-nerve organization. Again,
are you sure it's not pronounced Wily and they're making robot masters?
Wille. It's German, so I'm guessing Wiley?
Perhaps the secret code is Coyote.
Are you sure it's not treble and bass? Oh wait, you don't play Mega Man, never mind.
It could be just rock and roll.
Oh. Okay, so you do know something about Mega Man.
I remember bass. I didn't remember treble. I'll say that.
Treble is his version of Rush. The Purple Wolf.
Yeah, I don't remember the Purple Wolf. I remember what bass looks like. Because again, the most experience I have with Mega Man is Mega Man.exe.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that was like the little anime Mega Man that came out in like the mid 2000s. So I know some of the characters just because of that. That's about it.
I know like Bass was one of the main villains in it.
He was kind of like Shadow the Hedgehog from Sonic, like anti-hero.
Okay. So, let's just go into the manga a little bit more where
This is a long one, oh boy.
Where Shinji isn't as cowardly, has a little bit more bravery in him that he's willing to stand up to Gendo. Granted,
Possible. Hashtag not my Shinji.
Granted, he still runs away at like both points in the anime. He still is whiny, but not as much. So would you like Shinji if he wasn't as flawed? If he still had some flaws, but he was still whiny, like, what am I existing for?
I'd honestly have to read it to tell you for certain, so I know, like, the exact degree of how much of a difference there is in him.
He's also just a little bit more flirtatious around Asuka, but not...
Oh, see, now we're getting into Shinji X Asuka. See, I'm all about Shinji X Ray, and all that. No,
then I think
I'm bullshitting you. I'm all about Shinji X Pen. Come on.
But if you're more Shinji and Rei, read the manga, because that seems like the direction the guy is going in. And actually, it ends with, of course, Shinji, like, rejecting Third Impact, but it ends with him, I'm not going to say reversing time, but he doesn't remember anybody from the main series. He even, I think as he's
pulling
leaving,
a Kyoka no Kanata on us. It's beyond the boundary all over again.
I think as he's about to get on the subway, he meets Asuka, who, and like he says, like, hey, can you help me out? It's pretty crowded in here. So Shinji grabs her hand, pulls her out, and just like looks at her and says like, don't I know you from somewhere? And Asuka goes, I don't think so. Could you let go of my hand, you pervert?
I feel like that's not quite the right response unless he's like somehow fondling her hand.
But this is Asuka, and if you hold on to her hand and just stare at her without saying anything, like, do I know you from somewhere?
I feel like the more accurate response from Asuka would be to slap him and call him an idiot, rather than just ask politely for her hand to be let go and then call him a pervert.
No, she seemed rather angry in the panel.
I still feel like the slap is more Asuka to me than, just telling him that.
Oh, and Toji hated Asuka even more in the manga.
How so?
He calls her a bitch on several occasions.
I mean, she is.
What? No, she is best girl.
She's a bitch. I'm sorry to ruin this for you, but she's a bitch.
She just has mother issues.
I mean, every single pilot does.
Yes. And, of course, Ida and Toji's mothers were in their respective Evas, or supposed respective Evas.
I'm more curious, actually, how Asuka's mother's soul gets shoved into that Eva.
She hangs herself.
Yeah, we saw her getting hung, but, how does the soul then get into the Eva?
I know it's the same process where Rei's soul gets transferred between bodies.
But wouldn't he have to be there upon death to make that happen?
Well, Rei 3 wasn't anywhere near Rei 2 when she exploded.
This is true. But then how do they direct the soul?
I forget what the process of transferring the soul is.
That would be one of the bigger questions of, how are they doing soul manipulation? Because clearly they are. But it's never really expounded upon how they do that.
Sorry if you came here for direct answers about Evangelion.
I mean, that's kind of what this deep end is just us discussing things that don't have clear answers.
Yeah, but somebody might go, hey, what's this all about? They're going to be further discussing Ava. And then we're just not really knowledgeable.
It's not that we're not knowledgeable, it's that they don't give an answer.
Yeah.
Like, let me pull this up as an example. There's a game that's called Pillars of Eternity, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's this whole idea of, like, there's a cycle of souls, of reincarnation and rebirth, but the thing is, there was an ancient series of an ancient race of people that learned how to manipulate souls, right? And manipulate the cycle. So they had made machines that can, store souls or allow souls to go back into the wheel or infuse souls into inanimate objects. So the question would be like, does Nerve have something like that?
I think they do.
And if they do, it would literally have to be in multiple places. Because from what I understood, Asuka's mother died in Germany.
And they have a Nerve branch in Germany.
Yeah, my point is they'd have to have that device in multiple places. They'd have to have multiple versions of that device in multiple places for this to work.
So, maybe in 2 years, once 3+1 comes out, we could have a discussion on the Rebuild series and see if that answers any more questions.
How much less sense it makes.
Well, I saw the first two, and it seemed...
It's a rehash of the series!
Yes, but then...
With a few additions.
Yeah, but then number 3 comes along, where it just... everything starts spinning out of control.
Oh wait, are we going to go back to Cashion again?
No.
Everything's spinning out of control.
No.
Because the plot makes so much sense. We should totally watch it again. In fact, why are we discussing Ava? It's clearly inferior to Cashion.
We should watch the original Cashion.
I don't want to gouge my eyes out any more than I already do.
Hey, that's when it was like the 1970s Mega Man-esque Cashion.
I don't want to gouge my eyes out any more than I already do.
Did you know they had a live-action Cashion movie from 2009, I think?
Are you trying to make my life more miserable?
And they had a 4-part OVA.
I hate you. These are things I don't care to know.
But maybe the original, like, Neo-Human Cashion was good.
It was good. You're funny. You're making a good joke right there. That's great.
Yes, I probably am.
Should be a stand-up comedian.
So what's the deal with the Avas? Are they robots? Are they humans? I don't know!
You say that, you're gonna get people shouting at you from the crowd with different answers, and it's just gonna break out into a fight with people just fighting each other over the different answers.
I would love it if they were to fight in the comment section.
No, you wouldn't. You'd have to shut down comments.
No.
It'd become a flame war.
That means people are actually watching us.
What? Our 3 viewers?
Yes, our 3 viewers.
Don't worry, you're gonna use all the fake freaking accounts you've created to cause a fake argument in the comments.
That would take up too much time.
Maybe, but you would try it anyway. You're not watching anything important like Cashion.
Why do you keep torturing yourself by bringing up his name?
I don't know. I like to hurt myself, I guess.
Oh, and I was going to bring it up in part 2, but I brought it up in part 1 that the Puzzle and Dragon Puyo Puyo, as of this recording, they are running a Evangelion promotion.
Oh boy.
So, it will probably...
licensing.
Yeah, it will probably be over by the time this episode goes up.
Bye-bye.
So, hey, stay tuned for the next promotion, which will be, I don't know, since I don't work for Puyo Puyo.
Good for you.
Yay. Yeah, I would really love to do that, but I'll need to know how to download things onto my SD card rather than directly onto my phone.
Man, you're out of the times.
Yeah, but it's probably the one stupid thing I'm not knowing. Because I have too many games on my phone. Too many games.
Delete all those Candy Crush games.
Maybe I should just get BlueStacks.
I have no idea what BlueStacks is.
It's a phone emulator for computers.
Oh, there you go. Go for it.
Yeah, so that would be cool.
Just don't spend money.
Oh, I
Don't
won't.
spend $200 like I did. Don't make the same mistake.
So, I guess that's all we have to say about Evangelion as a whole.
Think so for now?
Yeah, we might come back at a later date to talk about, like, certain aspects of it.
Potentially for Ryan actually does end up watching it the way he thinks he's going to.
Yeah, we could have, like, a bonus episode in there.
The return of Ava.
Yes. And I'll be sure to read Campus Apocalypse, maybe Angelic Days, and maybe see if I could find a English walkthrough of some of the Ava games, so I could know some of the supplemental material.
Have fun with that.
Even though it's shoujo, I think I read the first chapter or two of Campus Apocalypse, and I remember enjoying it.
You seem to enjoy a lot of things that I don't.
Then again, I do like dumb, I don't want to say dumb things, but things that take things differently. Because I really, really love Ava. It's one of my favorite series, and I think it's one of the franchises I have the most merchandise of, because I own, like, the Platinum Edition. I own almost the complete set of physical manga, split into first printing and the omnibus printing. All I'm missing is, I think, the final 2 omnibus. I own both movies. I own the 2 out of the 3 rebuild movies. I think the only thing I might have more of is Red vs. Blue, solely because there's more DVDs of that.
Well, obviously you need to start watching more Fate and fix everything there.
Oh, yes. I will have several statues around my room.
Why do I feel like almost all of them will be of Rin?
No, not all of them will be Rin.
I said almost.
Yes, I will have maybe one Arteria to balance things out.
Just like one Arteria to like 9 Rins.
Maybe 2 or 3 Mordards.
Just so they can yell at you. Call you an idiot.
Hey, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, I like Tsunderes. I don't know why. It just seems that even by looks, I'm like, oh, she looks kind of cute. Oh my god, she's Tsundere.
The curse is real.
I think Tyler, it was like some angels manifest in human form to live out human life, or I forget what it was, but he showed me the Tsundere, and I'm like, no, she doesn't really appeal to me. So I wish I had the anime on hand so I could say, I do not like all Tsunderes, just about 90% of them.
The curse is real. The curse of Oichiro-sama. I think that's it for this episode.
Yes, because we've been over an hour and a half of recording, and hopefully I can edit this down to 85 minutes-ish. Well, you'll know because you're watching.
Assuming this part isn't edited out too.
Oh god, yes. So we're almost at 2 hours.
You start editing everything out, it's somehow longer than when you started.
How is this possible? Is this an ant? Oh, and one thing. I remember when I was first watching the movie, I was like, okay, I kind of understand AT fields. They keep everything out, but oh my god, what's an anti-AT field? That's bringing everything in. How does that work?
Is it bringing everything in, or is it just destroying the AT field itself?
I don't know, because what Fusky was saying, I think his English quote is, "Dear God, is an anti-AT field."
Yeah, it's something like that, which makes me feel like it's just nullifying the AT fields that are there.
Maybe. Either that, or I thought that was bringing everything into it.
It doesn't seem to have that, like, set up, like a magnetic attraction or anything, though.
Because I thought AT fields keep everything out, thus anti-AT fields bring everything in.
If it's my point is, like, you can take it two different ways, but I don't see anything that draws everything in. There's, like, no evidence that shows that's the case.
Okay.
Like, it's not drawing things in like a magnet from what I saw.
Well, it's bringing everything as one. Well, okay. Like, the anti-AT field is breaking down.
Yeah, it's something like that, which makes me feel like it's just nullifying the AT fields that are there.
Maybe. Either that, or I thought that was bringing everything into it.
It doesn't seem to have that, like, set up like a magnetic attraction or anything, though.
Because I thought AT fields keep everything out, thus anti-AT fields bring everything in.
If it's my point is, like, you can take it two different ways, but I don't see anything that draws everything in. There's, like, no evidence that shows that's the case.
Okay.
Like, it's not drawing things in like a magnet from what I saw.
Well, it's bringing everything as one. Well, okay. Like, the anti-AT field is breaking down the human soul AT field, or the barrier around your heart.
Well, then why would they... If it's not nullifying it, it is drawing things in. Why would they need to initiate third impact? Why wouldn't they just use those anti-AT fields everywhere?
Good point.
That's part of the reason why I'm thinking it's just nullifying an existing AT field. Okay.
And in the manga, just seeing Gendo use an AT field via the atom embryo.
It makes sense that he might be able to do that with that installed in him.
And as I was saying, I don't think I said this, but he is the one that saves Shinji, not Misato.
What, in the manga?
Yep, in the manga.
Interesting. That's kind of redemption for him to a degree.
Yes, but then he breaks down and kind of says that how much he hates Shinji because he's the one that took all of Yui's affection away, and that's why he's so cold towards Shinji.
Like, to me, that sounds like he's a whiny baby.
Well, in the end, Gendo does have bits of Shinji's whininess there behind his cold facade.
Oh, god damn it, it's hereditary. Shinji, you're not allowed to have kids.
Maybe we'll discuss this when Ryan watches it. Maybe we'll have a other bonus episode in there, but other than that, that is for this deep end. Time to come up to the surface and do something. I don't think I ever did an outro this way before.
Get out of the pool. It's Adult Swim. All kids exit the pool.
Okay. Laters.
Bye.